I call Materia to right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Not in our name. No raupatu in our time. No raupatu in our name. That was the call in 2004 when Māori and Pākehā struggled together to oppose the foreshore and seabed legislation passed by Labour. Now, I have to say, while I'm pleased that Labour has changed its position on these issues, Labour does not have any credibility in making claims against other members, Māori members in this House, of selling out our people. Because but for Labour and the Māori MPs in Labour selling out our people in 2004, we would not be here today to witness that same thing happening again. The players have changed. The issue is the same. The injustice is the same. I am proud to be here on behalf of the Green Party Aotearoa New Zealand to join our voices to the thousands of New Zealanders, Māori and Pākehā alike, who object to this unjust, confiscatory legislation. I want to acknowledge the hikoi that arrived on Parliament grounds on Tuesday. I want to acknowledge their dignity and their passion. Today, we are witness to a terrible betrayal by the Māori Party. It is a betrayal of our tikanga. It is a betrayal of all the kuia and the kaumātua who have struggled their whole lives to see justice for Māori. It is a betrayal of our young ones, of our rangatahi, who will have to continue this fight after this day because of the cowardice we will see played out in this House. All because of a Māori Party obsession with power at any cost. The Māori Party who are now utterly compromised by this acquisition of power. The Māori Party who contribute to the divide and rule tactics we see being played out by the National Party this time round, a National Party who are deeply hostile to the interests of Māori. When this legislation first came to the House in 2004, then named the Foreshore and Seabed Bill, we were fighting the same colonial government that Māori had been fighting for generations. At that time, I expressed my deep disappointment that as a Member of Parliament, a Māori Member of Parliament, I was thrust back 150 years and returned to that same struggle of my forebears against colonial power. I said it was the same old struggle, fighting the same arguments over the confiscation of land, objecting again to parliamentary sovereignty flexing its muscle against tangata whenua, regardless of the justice of the issue. That we were fighting the same manipulation and deception, fighting the same arrogance and paternalism. And that by this legislation today, as was then, Māori were returned to the same indecent fight, the fight just to be Māori in our own land. As with the Foreshore Bill, this Marine and Coastal Bill is a direct descendant of the racist legislation of our colonial forebears. Kia ora. But there is one and even more terrible difference here in 2011 than in 2004. Because for the first time in New Zealand's political history, a Māori political force has the power to stop a piece of racist legislation. For the first time ever in our political history, Māori wield enough political power to say no, to stop the government from extinguishing Māori tikanga rights. For the first time, Māori are genuinely the decision makers in whether this bill, this confiscation, will proceed. Today, 4 Māori MPs from the Māori Party are the decision makers for Māori aspirations over Māori land. Now, we could be celebrating that fact. We could be celebrating that fact. A circumstance that has arisen out of decades of struggle in the courts, struggle in education, struggle in the economy, struggle in politics. And those 4 Māori MPs exercise this political power because of the hard work of many generations before them who have that struggle. In many ways, this moment is an apex of Māori parliamentary political power. It's a moment that thousands of Māori and Pākehā have struggled and fought for together to achieve. So why then are these four Māori decision makers today exercising that power to pass racist legislation? Why are the Māori decision makers today deciding that they will allow the confiscation of Māori land? Last time in 2004, we fought a well-known enemy, a political force descended from its colonial forebears. It was a circumstance that Māori knew well and expected nothing less from. And then Māori rallied around a new political identity, one that would fight for Māori every step of the way, a genuine alternative by Māori, for the first time in this Parliament. Last time we believed that if Māori had the power, then we would have a just outcome. But today we are betrayed. The Green Party opposes this legislation because we are committed to justice and we are prepared to stand up for that principle. We have been tireless in our advocacy for the protection of Māori customary rights. Under this bill, Māori customary rights are extinguished and the foreshore and the seabed remains under the threat of exploitation, damage and sale. The Green Party has fought for the ecology of the foreshore and seabed, our precious coast, its habitat, the species that rely on its health, the whānau who care for those places and the children who delight in its treasures. This bill puts all of that at risk. Last time my plea was to the Labour Party. Just don't do it, I said. Today my plea is to the Māori Party, to Rāhui Kātene, to Te Uroro Flavel, to Pita Sharples and to Tariana Turia. Please turn your faces to our people. Face the thousands of young Māori who are slogging their guts out just to get by. Turn your faces to them and tell them that there is a reason for them to believe in us here. Tell them that they have not been abandoned by you. But they will not turn their faces, they will turn their backs. Whānau, the Green Party has not abandoned you. And together we will seek justice and peace in our country, and together we will achieve it. Kia ora.